I can't read out. You teach much very quaint. Those who did not light the lamps yesterday, please come to light lamps, and particularly those who are newcomers, those who have been with us for the last many months, years, they are fine. Those who are coming new, you can come to light lamps. Come. Of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the ministries flow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the miseries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the miseries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the miseries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the miseries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the miseries glow. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all the miseries glow. Okay, everyone will get the opportunity to offer scarves at the end of the teaching, and everyone will also presented with the souvenir of rosary, each one of you, from our Venerable Teacher, Ven.Geshe Yeshe Thabkhe Rinpoche and Tibet House. So don't worry, everybody will get the chance at the end. Okay. Okay, please take your seats. Okay, good evening everyone for you, and it's a great opportunity for all of us. It's a great merit
each one of us that we are receiving teaching from our most venerable Geshe Yeshe Thabkhe Rinpoche, and on the precious sutra, the Seedling Sutra, the Seedling Sutra. And as I said earlier, towards the end, after dedicating the virtues that's gathered from the 2-day teaching, we are all going to have the opportunity to have the opportunity for us to offer scarves and to receive the rosary from the Most Venerable Geshe Yeshe Thabkhe Rinpoche as part of the blessing and the souvenir for us to remember the content matter, so the subject matter of the Seedling Sutra. And so this is what we're going to do. So with that in mind, again, setting proper motivation. With this, we'll turn to the booklet distributed to you, page 1, and setting proper motivation. 3 points. One is refuge field. Visualize Buddha Shakyamuni, who taught this the sutra on dependent origination, and Maitreya and Shariputra, and all the enlightened beings in front of you who become the source of compassion, inspiration for you to cultivate compassion, for you to cultivate the wisdom of emptiness. And alongside this visualization, visualize your two parents and all the family members around you. The whole purpose, the point is that we are getting the opportunity, but the 7 billion human beings, they do not get this opportunity to receive this teaching. So why not we visualize all of them, including your two parents, all the family members, and all the sentient beings around you. Imagine that we are all receiving, all sentient beings, headed by you, are receiving teachings from our teacher, Ven.Geshe Thabkhe Rinpoche, on this precious sutra, Seedling Sutra. And the purpose of this practice, as rightly indicated in the Seedling Sutra, is to activate this seed of perfection within each one of us, no matter who we are, however mentally defiled we think we are, however weak we think we are. In actuality, the treasure within us by no means is inferior to the treasure of enlightenment, which all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they are endowed with. So the point is, the treasure of this awakening, the treasure of this ultimate happiness, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have, in the form of manifest form, whereas in our case, it is the hidden. So therefore, it is known as the Buddha nature. It is not really the Buddhahood as such. So our job is, by listening to this teaching, precious teaching from our most venerable teacher, and then see how much we can, after studying, see how much we can subject this to reflection, and then put them to meditation, and then see what degree of transformation is taking place with ourselves, and that finally all the mental defilements are gone, removed, and the gold inside each one of us becomes manifest. So okay, so that being the purpose, let us say the praise together from page 1. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. Enthused by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views. To you, the Buddha Gautama, I pay homage. The next page. Sangye juda zoge junam da chanju bardo dane gyapsu che dage jinso gebe tsonam ge tola benjire sangye jubara jo sangye juda zoge junam chanju bardo dane gyapsu che dage jinso gebe tsonam ge tola benjire sangye jubara jo Sangye choda tsoge chonam chanjo bardo dane gyapso che dage jinso kebe tsonam ge toda penjire sangye drubara sho. I'll go for refuge until enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, by my accumulations for practice, giving, and so forth. No. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. By my accumulations of the practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness, no sameness. I prostrate to the consummate Buddha, the supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace, which is freedom of elaborations. Okay, the next page, page 4. As we recite this mantra is also referred to as the essence of the dependent origination mantra, and the text which we are learning, being taught by our most venerable teacher, is the sutra on dependent origination, the Seedling Sutra on dependent origination. So keep in mind, the whole purpose is to awaken this true nature of the seed of perfection within each one of us, and that too by understanding that all the miseries which we dislike, which we like to shun, they don't arise randomly. Instead, they arise from their respective causes. What these causes are is indicated by the Buddha, and then see how to exterminate or how to bring an end to these causes is also indicated by the great seer, the Buddha. So knowing this, let's see that the teaching that we're going to receive on this basis, how we're going to identify the cause of the suffering, how we're going to apply the remedies to overcome the cause of the suffering. Okay, with that in mind, so that is all encompassed within this the mantra. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye svaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye svaha. Om ye dharma hetu prabhavam hetum tesham tathagato yavatat tesham chayo nirodha evam vati mahashramanaye svaha. All phenomena arise from causes taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well is taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration-free, clear-light and non-composite. Such is the nectar that Dharma I have discovered. Finding no one who can fathom this teaching, in silence I will return to the words. Beyond utterance, thought and expression is the perfection of wisdom, which is unborn, unceased, and has the initial space. Is the object of apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of the 3 times are pure obeisance. All composite things are impermanent. All contaminated things are of the nature of suffering. All phenomena are of the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Transcending sorrow is nirvana. Okay, let's turn to the next page, page 6. The Buddha does not watch the negativities of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of the suchness that the beings are liberated. With folded hands, I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma, for all bewildered miseries glow. If you are attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If you are attached to samsara, you have no renunciation. If you are attached to yourself, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have the view. Okay, so this teaching whole, everything is being summarized in the Heart Sutra mantra. We'll say this Heart Sutra mantra 7 times together. While reciting this, just visualize all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas there, and your 2 parents, and all the sentient beings with you, and imagine that no matter what your relationship is with other beings, it is all because of the ignorance, as can well be understood from this sutra, that ignorance is cause. Had it been the case that all other beings who we consider as the enemies, if the ignorance is not there within them, they will be, no doubt, they will just embrace us with so much love and affection. The fact that they are not doing this, instead they're being so nasty, is all because of the ignorance. It's not actually this is all because of the ignorance. Had it been the case that we are in the same situation, we also behave in this way with so much of love and affection, kindness, compassion towards them, that they are under the sway of this ignorance. Deep inside them, there's the seed of the free-flowing compassion, free-flowing bodhicitta. So that needs to awaken, and see yourself as the inspiration to all dear sentient beings to follow this path of purity, to follow this path of awakening from the darkness to the ultimate, the light. Deyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhi Swaha Deyata Om Gati Gati Okay, since today is the second and the conclusion the day, the Most Venerable Geshe Yeshe Thabkhe Rinpoche will make it a point that the whole gist of this sutra is going to be given to us, not necessarily going through the word, and let us make it a point not to miss the points, which in fact, from my personal the awareness that our teacher is exceptionally very close to this sutra. I remember since many years ago, in fact, there are a number of commentaries by himself on this sutra and the concept of emptiness and concept of dependent origination. So let us not miss this opportunity to listen to the essence, the gist of what we're going to get from our teacher pertaining to this sutra. No.
So. Geshe Yeshe Thabkhe Kenda Temba Lana Me Jawa Tension Table Geshe Yeshe Tomba de la Oh yeah. Oh, Simjan la Chawa Band Synergy Pemba Trube. Nason de Madoma Lata Me Kova, Shutube, Ten Kebache, Rumba, and the Tobache. Tenya Tenjugi Milusa Mayamba. Tenduya, Chardana Soba, Numo Maluba Bande, Tarbe Comba, Tungele Tentu, Tarbe Tarba Tobacha, 대한 라치부 마이바 파마디에 심지어 탐제자 거에 동해를 타르바 자고 다게 대체도 그 세근데 군대지 산지지 고만 지내지 토바르자 대체도 대토베 탑에 냠베 꾸노 자주게 semge 신베코네 샴바쇼스 도디쇼스.
First prostration to the Buddha Shakyamuni for having taught the concept of dependent origination in order to eliminate the darkness of ignorance which binds the beings in samsara. So this is solicitation, and then the motivation required for us to listen to this teaching should be, say, in the following stages. The first, with aspiration, with the feeling of such a joy and rejoicing over having attained this precious human birth, the favorable state, favorable birth, and then on that basis, to make a commitment to engage in the virtuous actions, to refrain from the non-virtuous actions, to attain the same, the precious birth the next time, and then not only to achieve the precious birth, but also to work on, by using this precious birth, to see how much we can work on to eradicate the mental defilements such as attachment, aversion, and the ignorance and so forth. In other words, to how to get rid of the afflictions. And then so this will lead us to a state of total freedom from the suffering altogether. And having this as the ground, see how much we can then practice the extend this feeling of sentiment towards all the dear sentient beings, all sentient beings, and with a very pure heart to desiring to achieve the state of Buddhahood, which is endowed with all the perfect qualities and be freed from all the defilements or the defects. And so this aspiration, the bodhicitta, the aspiration to become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings, so that should be the bodhicitta. And with that in mind, with that aspiration, let us listen to the teaching.
That's Sunday, Sali Jambara Sini. Sui Tension Dever John Tonga, the Cheton, Tension Dever John Tolia, Chi Nusin Jigden, Suta to Chala Soba to the Gamma Tension Dever John, Chi Tension. Nabi Tension Dever John, Sangara Tama, Nao Nyambanzi, and each child on the Numuki, Dion, the Lake, the Sun, Nyanduta Tendo, Quakusitia, the Nisum Swa,
Yes. So as we read yesterday, that from the sutra, that the Buddha Shakyamuni at one point, he was along with his the disciples, he was just passing by a rice field, and there the Buddha stopped and pointing to the rice field, the Buddha said that whoever sees dependent origination will see the Dharma, whoever sees the Dharma will see the Buddha. So there, as to what constitutes dependent origination, we learned that it is to be understood in two contexts, which is external dependent origination, or in other words, dependent origination of the external world and the dependent origination of the internal world of the sentience. External world constituting of the physical form, sounds, and so forth, how the world comes into being by dependent origination, and the internal world consisting of the ourselves as beings, initially triggered with a sense of I, then this in turn leads us to engage in the negative thoughts such as attachment, aversion, and so forth, and then this leads us to engage in negative karmas, and then all forms of the states of birth, such as the favorable births, then the unfavorable births, and so forth, they come into being. This is how the internal world of the sentience, they come into being by dependent origination.
Chita Nanga Mogo Sama Tamjete, Kuda Ken Tene, Ko Lubutia Kegujete, only Mitaba, Keshi King Jura Chenge, Mitaba. Oh, Tenita Mevasa, Mitaba Sera, Nanga Tendri Samatana, Tada Sosa Samatana, Keshi King Jura Chenge Mitabata. And it's 사제의 초아 대화를 신배나 대한 교육고 동행의 장신도 교도에 동행의 장신이다. 아니 동바세 다 장에 다 된신지 동바세라. 네 다음에 봐 라와 교단 깨는 땡제 라와 매바 코치 용인데 라와 전지 다 지금 그 말에 다음에 봐세. 어때서 야 땡제 대번 좋아야 뭐 상도다나 미다바다 동행어도 동아 다음에 봐. 대줄로야 차투교도
when you think of the dependent origination of the external world and in the internal world of sentience, say how the external world comes to being by dependence on causes and conditions, we see that it is simply through coming together of the causes and conditions that then the phenomena, some objects, they come into existence. So from this we see that it's through the constant flux of change of course and conditions giving us the results. So that tells us the reality of the impermanence, how it is through the change of the causes and conditions that give rise to the states of the higher states or the undesirable states. So that gives an understanding of the impermanence. And then if you look at the self, ourselves, we see that we undergo a constant change. And then this change, within this change, we see that experience of happiness, for example, experience of pleasure and happiness we go through, even that is not really lasting. It eventually changes into suffering. So from this we not only see that things are of the impermanent nature, it also leads us to an understanding that things are of suffering nature. However happy we are, it eventually ends into suffering. Then the number 3 is that because that it is that the self comes into being by dependence on the conglomeration of the causes and conditions, that the self is not independent, it is by dependence. So independence is rejected. That comes to the understanding of the selflessness in the context of emptiness or independence. So if you understand dependent origination, this will invariably so efficaciously take us to the understanding of the impermanence, suffering, and the selflessness. And then alongside we see that through understanding dependent origination, then the viewing that the self is so pure, so clean, that can be seen as the faulty, because we see that what the self is nothing but nothing beyond our aggregates, the body and the mind, and our body and mind both we see that moment we see that they are defiled, because of which the self by no means it is pure, although we see the self to be so pure that is empty of being pure. So this leads us to the true understanding dependent origination. We understand the impermanence, we understand suffering, we understanding the self to be empty of being absolute pure, and finally the selflessness or the emptiness of the independent existence.
No, then you can show that. Medabare Sidita Dubericina, Nini to Dubericina, Longe Sabaticina, Sumbucente in a Sumbucina, whatever sometimes you go Tarinjibi Chichere, sitting at the Soa de Leco Yodoa. What you did a carpenter Resena, Pena, Susuni, Dula so Pisos of duty, Unaya, do but Medabare. Not do it your Maracaka, where is the Suda, Dibetamatas, Divetamacho, Sapa Kunditanza, or T. Duzaco, Caril language. Oh, T. that Ziringatelia, Yabuche, Namina, the Suinada, Chichil, Nova Macha, Migibama Services, Abuche, for the Seoda. They could color do it, run cigarettes, they saw your mark, they do some this year your marriage. They do that, I was there with the Mida was some time to Tisodua. Kana Chu Nyamsamba, Kana Niba, then Jibay on the Chidana colleges. So Mida was the Talit, where somebody, Namju, they do it, Tibapa, Keva to wear down, Nang to temperature, telepengi order. What it and then some Taba Corena, Tibapa, the Keva to wear that Tezule pengi order. Midaba Samlatani, Dumia Samlatani, Quakora Samlatani, Dumia Samlatani, Dumia Samlatani, simply Dona de Chita, I get a camera, some of the jungle said that. Send Donia than a joy at myself says. Quabala Ninjikis, Shandatina, she is some Ninja care. Kelaka, she tills him, and it came out to a cow, table and zimmer. Oh, the coach, she called and been a message. I was a carrier. A question that can and Jigmaris, she will and Jigmaris or teach something.
A reflection on impermanence is of incredibly great benefit. Coming together of things invariably ends into separation, and the collection of the wealth ends with exhaustion, and this being alive ends in the termination of the life. So this is the reality of impermanence. The more we reflect on impermanence, the benefit is that while we are together, for example, as a family, we will see the value of being together, that we are together for how long. If the things are impermanent, so we are not sure as to how long we will get the opportunity to be with each other, to be together with each other. So then we will treasure the togetherness or the being together, and then the harmony will be harmony will happen, and then with this the feeling of the impermanence, and likewise the reflection on the suffering nature of ourselves, they have tremendous benefit. One in terms of refraining from negativities, knowing that all these experiences of pain, what the impermanence strikes us, and we end up in suffering. So these suffering are all because of the non-virtuous karmas, non-virtuous thoughts. So by feeling the pain, feeling the pain of the suffering, then we feel like getting away from the negativities, refraining from the negativities, one. And then we also tend to feel the joy over engaging in virtues. Then by seeing that you are really inflicted by so much of pain, a sense of arrogance, sense of conceit is bound to be mitigated. And above all, the knowing that all of us share the same sentiment, share the same state, will being so supportive of each other, being very harmonious towards each other. So these are all the benefit. And then if you reflect on the impermanence and the suffering nature of ourselves so well, on a daily basis, consistently, then you get such a confidence that you're not afraid of death at all. Even if death were to strike you, but you see that this is the law of the nature. Inevitably, that all what comes into existence, all what comes into, say, arising, should necessarily come into end. So what is a great deal of this? So the sense of the fear of death will all terminate because of this reflection, impermanence, and the suffering on a daily basis.
No, didn't you? Then I sit in a nugget of Chashana, so Midaba, let a human be Chushana Kumidaba, Ramameva Tunge. Then the Nikishil Ramameva and Tungi gave a now children. Oh, then Midaba, Lenu Shawanchi, Dumia Chilia, Ramavetachi. Shawama gave Ramavetachi, young to be on my race, Tameva Dungua. Then so Sina Judan King Judante, Pamela Kudala, so what the director to go at Esse. The team Mizawahina, Zawahina, Sangme, Ludi, Sigbaji Matachi, Kashe Lu Zamada, Kashe Lu Mizawa, Tendego Mare Songudua. Oh, Tindico, Juchibari, Kashe Kidu Kamzuliki, Pamaliki, Metoliki, Kashe Nene, Tendamaris Kanga, Juchibari, Sobi, Juchibari, Kesachibari Esse. Tindico. Pungu Mizawahina, Kanga Mizawa Chipari. Pungu Mizawa Chilia, Zanga Dash, at my shooting is Zanga Dash, Mizawa Dash, Nina Lamarese. 풍부되는 미상이나 단다했더니 다들 짱마다 미상이 와요 말이스. 뒤인도 가서다. 짱에 다 전신지 동바스도 나 다들 짱마시부치 현대의 조바리 삼사 근데 다들 요 말이스 동바레스 나라에 송거다. 뒤는 현대 상황에 다들 요 다네 봐시. 뒤주당가 대지 대발이 좀 하려 때네 삼을티 코고 요라. 뒤코는 소소 차단도 님어께난 좋아도 요도. 어디선
If you take ourselves, the self, yourself, we see that we are nothing but constitute. How we come into being is by the by the causal factors of afflictions and the contaminant karmas, and because of which then the consequences in terms of birth, sickness, aging and so forth arise. So by depends on these causes of the afflictions and the contaminant karmas, these resultant states of sickness, aging, birth and so forth give rise to indicates the impermanence. And then on top of that we see that that we are dependent on all these factors. The independence of the self is being rejected. So this will lead us to understand that by no means the self, which I identify myself as the person, so that is something in lacking independence. And for example, if you look at a body, pertaining to the third seal, where the Buddha said that everything is the nature of emptiness and selflessness. So there's a little difference between the two. Emptiness, what constitutes emptiness, what constitutes selflessness. So there, pertaining to emptiness is to be understood as the empty of being pure. The self being empty of the self, empty of being pure. So what is meant by self being empty of being pure? So oftentimes people have a misconception that okay, we are a very special people, we are from a special caste, and others are low caste, others are impure, we are very pure. The reality is that we are nothing, but we come into existence only by dependence on our aggregates, and the aggregates such as the body, for example. The body that we have, we see that the body, if we really explore, if we really probe into this body, we see that the body is so impure. So the fact that the aggregated body is impure means we are impure, and this is a total misconception that we have an innate feeling that I'm pure and others are impure. So this misconception actually drives us into suffering. So whereas the reality is that everyone, as long as we come into existence by dependence on the contaminated aggregates, contaminated, impure physical body, we are no one is pure as long as you are constituted of the impure aggregate of the physical form. So this tells us that okay, by no means I should be conceited, I should feel conceit, I should have a sense of the arrogance that I'm pure, I'm very special, my tribe is very special, my caste is very special. So this is a total misconception, this is illusion, because that as long as we are constituted of a dirty body, we are dirty, we are impure. This is reality. And everybody, as long as whoever the person is, if considered the dirty, impure body, the person is the impure. So this is the fallacy, seeing the self as pure while the aggregates are impure. And then the third seal, when it says everything is the nature of emptiness and selflessness, this emptiness connotes the empty of being pure, and the selflessness is the selflessness in the context of the being empty of independence. So there, knowing that the self comes into being but depends on all these factors, like the aggregates, like the causal factors of the afflictions, contaminant karmas and so forth, we see that we are not at all independent. We just come into existence by dependence on many of the factors. So knowing this, we come to see the selflessness in the context of the emptiness of independent existence. And so this is the benefit of reflecting on dependent origination.
Oh yeah. that got so that tension never joined Delia, Tandanga, Tendayana Juni, Guanaqua could share to look to Sira, Quacorda Carisco, Stitch Shara. The Kuala and do condition dog with a sender, or did understand she, Midakbada, Dungyawada, Tonga, Dameva. So the Nga, Samsa, Rawanga, you have a symbol tender, and then Nancy Chagdanji Kangayungura, Rawanga, the Mebe, Tomba, Dameva, Yabu Kumbina, Mida, Dongaton, Damela, Soba Combina, and then Tommy Mariba, the Ngao, Yamanga Rawachi, Shana, Shan Rawachi. You don't know that Tadan Yen Soba Rawa to give something to your mother. Part of this uncle. Tadanyen the Chicago Ramon over talking at this ship doors. Don't do it, some Shagora. Teachers on this Tanga, so now the Margeta, Shella Town, and so what Chagda, the Yamuto Chons to Yora, or did the ten garbage by the Sogotua, Dinema, Bashibat and John Juro Shara, Teacheria, Cavaleso. The Datunga Pump Bashibat and Gaba, and John Juro Shara. Jodim di Sara, that tell a Mariba Gab and Dujin Ga said, Mariba the Dame Baconde, Mariba the Ngao Nyambe Rawe, Nanzimba, Ngao Nyambo Marje, Chesagana, Tindengashi Mabal Soba, or today the Comsona, and a Nanzidi Chodura. Then the Nanzi Chodone, Chadan in Yodura, Chadan Yodone, Chadan go again, Kitty Lassa at Yodura, even to see Lagas, or Tene. Sumbanam Shilia leg never shine. Kyoa to the Pangane, Tartum Tamjele, go by the top to rest, Garbage and better Songua. Once the Dumbanashi, Chenam Tamja Culation Sierra, New Jigan Jidenko and the summer Juliet and Shores. The Jogarasana, Numon Zinda, Tewan Vichum, Chaldam Mosum the rest, the judicial persons. Julan Goba Kayan Bas, that Judan Ghana. Judan Gang join it, Judan Ghana and David Gaya touch Sara, or Julan Zin the Gaya Karasana and the Dame about it. Digitation was Julan Goba Kama, then Goba Shebe, Tamitoba, Metaba, Tunga Toba the chair. Take Combalatent, Gaba and Gaba, Tarbashe, Julan Goba Kama, Bakajushin Betega soon said that Tembashi Kone, Samutan that didn't go to this function.
Yesterday we were on page 8. Dependent origination in the context of the 12 links of dependent origination. Page 8, line 1, it says, okay, page 7, sorry, page 7, the last line. Page 7, the last line, which reads, well, the phrase dependent arising or dependent origination means that because this exists, that exists, because this is produced, that is produced. So here, this stanza, this paragraph is explaining as what constitutes dependent origination. So dependent origination, we need to know that dependent origination is taught in two ways, taught by the Buddha in two ways. One in the form of say evolutionary, in the form of evolutionary process, and the other in the form of the cessation, in the process of the ceasing. In the process of seizing the dependent origination, the seizing of the dependent origination, and the evolutionary form of the dependent origination. So one in the form of the evolution is how by giving rise to ignorance, the 12 links, ignorance, it gives rise to the formation or the karmas. Number 2, by karma, how it gives rise to the consciousness. Number 3, and there's then the 12 links are given rise to the one by one. So this ignorance, which we learned yesterday very clearly, the misconceiving the self to be independently real, self-grasping ignorance. As long as we have this sense of self-grasping ignorance, then we tend to have attachment to the self, we tend to have the aversion towards others. So this sense of attachment, aversion, will which constitute afflictions, give rise to contaminated karmas, and the contaminated karmas will invariably give rise to the suffering. So this paragraph, which ends by saying that the appropriation causes becoming, becoming causes birth, birth, and the birth causes aging and death, sorrow, lamentation, suffering, despair, and bewilderment. Thus does this entire great heap of suffering arise. So this is how the suffering is evolved, on the basis of the ignorance, studying the dependent origination of the evolution of the suffering. Now the next stanza is the dependent origination, and knowing the dependent origination in the context of ceasing the affliction, ceasing the suffering. So it says, when ignorance ceases, formation ceases. When the formation ceases, consciousness ceases. When consciousness ceases, so this goes on like this, the ceasing of the 12 links of dependent origination. So how does it be, given that the suffering they come into being, but depends on the contaminant karmas, which in turn arise from the afflictions, which in turn arise from the ignorance. Now if we are to stop their suffering, we have to stop the contaminant karmas. To stop the contaminant karmas, we have to stop the afflictions. To stop the afflictions, we have to stop the ignorance. So how to stop the ignorance? Ignorance, knowing that ignorance is the mind, the misperception, which views things in a distorted way. The viewing the self to be independent real, and then the still can be much grosser. While the self is impermanent, we view the self as permanent. This is one ignorance. While the self is of the suffering nature, we see the self as of the happy nature, pleasurable nature. Number two, and while the self is of the empty nature, not being pure, we see the self as so pure. And while the self is the empty of independent entity, we see the self as of independent nature. So these are the 4 levels of the misconceptions and the ignorance, and we have to exterminate these 4 the levels of ignorance by introducing the counterforces. By the counterforce in the form of the wisdom to see the impermanent nature, self to be impermanent, wisdom to see the self to be of suffering nature, the self to be of impure nature, and the self to be of the selfless nature, meaning the self to be empty of independent nature. So this is the wisdom. Once we cultivate this wisdom, then invariably the afflictions will be mitigated, afflictions will be undermined, and afflictions such as attachment, aversion, so forth will come to an end, and because of which the contaminated karmas, then the destructive actions will not happen, and then this leads to the cessation of your suffering. So it is for this reason that the mantra, when we recited Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava Hetum Desham Tadagato Hyavata Desham Jayu Niruddha Evam Vadima Shranmanaso, page 4, when we recite the mantra, when it says Ye Dharma Hetu, Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava, means that these phenomena, they arise from the causes. The suffering, the phenomena of suffering do not arise the causeless randomly, they arise from the causes. So what are these causes? Hetum Tesham Tathagata Hyavata. These causes are indicated by the Tathagata, the Buddha, these causes. So what are the causes which the Buddha identified as the cause of suffering in the form of contaminant karmas, afflictions, and the 4 levels of the ignorance? So how to bring an end to these causes? Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vadi Mashramana. So the cessation of these causes as well is taught by the great seer. So how does the great seer, the Buddha, how did he teach? In what way he taught to bring an end to the causes of this suffering is by introducing the light of the wisdom, the 4 kinds of wisdom, the wisdom to know the self as impermanent nature, suffering nature, impure nature, and the selflessness in the context of the emptiness of independent existence. So this is how we understand the 4 noble truths, and we know how to bring an end to the suffering, understand dependent origination in order to bring an end to the suffering.
Tenia ko chashe mambuche le tene ko tuba sonda ngobo korandi chamambuche shikidwa kamba ina da suina da daina da taina da kanga chamambuche le tene chashe am dakshi da doje ge tanye ge ene ko chu domri gebje dichi yin spalo ta yorwa Dakshitan, Doxilla, Tony to Bass, Tension Devils, good again, tennis on a tender, and then Dakshitan, Doxilla, Tony to the tenders needed some teaching function. Or do you do some medabada? Tunga was said, around the time ever said. Dakshitan, Doxilla, Turbe, one shower days. Round was a tenant near which you almost time about him.
Dependent origination, which is the essence of this sutra, should be understood on two levels. One is the dependent origination of the composite phenomena, meaning that what we have learned thus far is how the composite phenomena, how they come into being by dependence on the causes and conditions. So this constitutes the dependent origination of the composite phenomena. The other one is where things come into being by dependence on the parts. Something as a whole, for example, like a house, or the physical form, or the sound, or the self. We see that any of these things should necessarily come into being by the combination of various parts, and also known as by the combination of the various bases of designation, meaning the parts which serve as the base of designation, and then but depends on the parts, and by depends on the designating mind. Parts as the base of designation and the designated mind, by depends on these two things, then the phenomena things come into being. This is known as the dependent origination of dependence on the base of designation and the designator.
Chö Kangshin has a Pagwellamia like Yabades, Palamia like Yabades, Yagar Yanda Betawa, Yanda Betobas, Yanda Benga, Yanda Belesta, Yanda Beto, Yanda Betemba, Yanda Johanna Soba, Pagwellamia like Yabades, Church.
Then, if you could remember how this sutra began, where the Buddha said that whosoever sees dependent origination will say the dharma. So now the first part, dependent origination, is already explained. Then the next part is if you see dependent origination, you will see the dharma. What does it mean by dharma in this context? In the context of seeing dharma after seeing dependent origination. So this is what we see on the third paragraph, page 8, which reads, "What is the dharma?" So this dharma is in the context of the dharma which you are to see after having seen dependent origination. Whoever sees dependent origination will see the dharma. So here it says, what is the dharma? Dharma is the eightfold path of the noble ones, eightfold noble paths. Eightfold noble paths, and the eightfold noble paths constituting right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration.
Tambutele Yanda Betawa Sido, Yanda Betawa Sedi, Karesina Garatu, Messin di Kanjare, di Tasona, Kawashima Dressy Romare, and the lake Kawastan, Tibusana, Mongobalia, Debutawada, Tunga, Seti Romare, when it's ya, Yamutupa, Sisi Sinipa, Yamusandra, Tarbada, oh, today. Yomare somebody like him so I never thought in Loctara or to the membership that you ever thought and the young dog with Tawa Silva. Did you
here the identifying the eightfold noble path, which we understood constitutes the dharma in the context of somebody seeing dependent origination will see dharma. So there, the first of the eight noble path and the eightfold noble paths is the right view. So right view here has many connotations. For example, let's say that somebody has a wrong view. As opposed to the right view, the wrong view. Wrong view such as that the rebirth does not exist. Somebody disbelieving in the concept of rebirth. Then number 2 is, say, the disbelieving in the efficacy of the cause-effect relationship. That if you do good things, only good results come into being. If you do bad things, bad results will come into being. So where somebody does not believe in this efficacy of the cause or the efficacy of the cause-effect relationship, and then on top of that, the people not believing in the possibility for bringing an end to the afflictive emotions, that the attachment, anger, jealousy, and so forth, these afflictive, the emotions, the reality is that they can be brought to an end, but people don't believe. When somebody doesn't believe in this, one is having a wrong view. So, so anyone having these, they said, misconceptions, that person is said to have the wrong view. So now, in order to have the right view, we need to get rid of these wrong views.
다음에 발로 다도 여번 sem발 소바 어때줄 때니 차다다 개개버 요요서 고 친질로 또 와서도 다 또봐 다 양다에 또부터 가르시네 미다바 와 미다바 또 네 동해와 또 다음에 또 와서 소바 어때야 야 누가서 양다에 또 와서도
So number 2 is the right thought. Right view is number 1. Number 2 is right thought. Right thought constitutes the same thing. To know what the right thought is, we need to know the counter force, which is the mistaken thoughts or mistaken concepts or the conceptualization. Mistaken conceptualizations, as what we learned earlier, the viewing impermanent phenomena to be permanent, viewing the suffering nature as happiness, viewing the impure as pure, and viewing the selfless nature as of selfhood. So these constitute the mistaken views, mistaken reflections, mistaken conceptualizations. Now, the viewing impermanence, impermanent, suffering, and then the impure is impure, and the selfless nature. These constitute the correct or the right thought or the right conceptualizations.
chama chikchu ngakchel se tanda mebe chadang ke jishe da ne shenla mebe ta rala tebala so rangcho shenjo chadang ke jishe so ba o tezul ya ko lobe nga se rangshenla ne ba che ba so da o tende maye ba tezu me ba che se o tene tembar ma wala so ba ni shen mera mebe shala yandel tebala so ba o tende se da yang da ba nga se da ta tanda nga ga to ne rangshenla ne ba riksu ke ba de
The next is the right speech. Right speech constitutes of the among the 10 non-virtuous actions. We have 4 3 physical, 4 verbal non-virtuous actions. 4 verbal non-virtuous actions constituting telling lies, slandering, and then harsh words and idle gossip. These 4, and so these 4 become the defiled speech. So what we need to cultivate is we need to cultivate the right speech, correct right speech or healthy speech. What constitutes healthy speech is a speech where you refrain from these 4 verbal non-virtuous actions. Instead of telling lies, you always try to tell the truth. Instead of slandering, always say something, utter words which will bring harmony, bring friendship amongst the people. And instead of using harsh words, using the tender the words, and then instead of idle gossip, speaking something sensible. So these are the referred to as the right speech.
달래로 잡아라 된다. 미셰실 가보다 된다. 다스 제무제다 다다 심플하게 된다. 인도 류지 줘봐요. 어때서 강가도 로베 류지 줘봐서라. 어 대다다 잡아들려야 되네. 레지 타스도.
The next one is the right action. Right action pertains to the actions we do physically. So physically, we need to avoid the three non-virtuous physical actions, such as killing, stealing, and sexual misconduct. We refrain from these, and we engage in the physical actions which do not involve any of these three, form the right action.
Maybe Tony Lutangagi, Java Sholon said a Casa said, Ujiro Chase, Fortune, Yard, Milongo, Tani, Yonda. That's why I get on the Mexicati. Lunga Niga Coneco, round the Shannon Manuvetone, so the Toa, Legado Caricina, Shungula Jericinico, Shungula, she said, so that the 20 Tinelingora, Tina Shinko Legati, Tassanam the Sicilian. Team members never send us, sort of the Shandasle, never send us, Robert Swas. It's a young double Swas, that on the Luma corner, so the magic get on the Sud of the Yaguchi number of hours. Also, then they would have trained my shadow chicha, that Mamuchi or 10 members, number of hours, message the Yaguchi care with a soda.
The next is right livelihood. Right livelihood is the advice concerning how to lead a clean, healthy life pertaining to the physical and verbal actions. So pertaining to what you do physically, what you do verbally in order to earn a living. In order to earn a living, we should make sure that you do it in such a way that harm is not incurred on others, and not engaging in actions for livelihood in ways of deceit, in ways of cheating others, in ways of bullying others, and so forth, in ways of the tricking others. So, for example, let's say a government official, you get the salary from the government, and then what you do is actually not really doing anything for the government. You do something, the private work. This falls under the wrong livelihood. So and also the evading tax. So these are all wrong livelihood. So what is advised is that for one's own good, see how to lead a very clean, right livelihood. So that is, make sure that you refrain from any form of physical, verbal, the harms, in order to lead a clean life. Yes. The next is right effort. Right effort here is the effort that you put in must be towards the meaningful, the meaningful end, and something which is not harmful to other people, the other beings. In other words, whatever effort that you put in must be for the benefit of yourself and for the benefit of others. There must be benefit happening, and such a thing that such actions that you engage in, the effort that you engage in, must be accompanied with a feeling of joy. So whether you are engaged in the act of teaching, whether you engage in any kind of work, we make sure that there's a sense of joy there, and it's not at all of the harmful nature towards others and towards yourself. It should be something meaningful.
pena komre jangena komje yutu so kewa kutungena ti kewa tuje tu kanga yane yang ya tembatela yang da chamba shigwa na shine ge mi yutu so shine komgere shine mi yutu so tenjukse tembe yutu so yang chue tele yang da chamba shigwa.
Next is the right mindfulness. So mindfulness means to remember things, to remind things. So it can be right mindfulness or it can be wrong mindfulness, reflecting or the recollecting the past bad things, bad relationships, and so forth. These are the wrong recollections or the unhealthy recollections, the remembrance. So instead, we should have the right mindfulness or the right remembrance, right recollection of the virtues that you engaged in, in the past. You can remember those the virtues. This is known as the right mindfulness. And pertaining to meditation, say the object of meditation, what are you going to meditate on? We must have a very clear, vivid the recollection of what you're going to meditate on, and then also pertaining to more precisely of the meditation, such as the karma body meditation, shamatha practice. So there one should be very precisely recollecting the object of meditation to make sure that the meditation becomes the very healthy meditation. For the constant recollection of the object is required. That constant recollection is known as the right mindfulness.
Jambata Shishi Tilpa Sam Joyache, and the Tata take to Timu do Tayashe, Tia Kos Subsoche, London Soda, somebody in the course of the Subsoche Teora, and Miss Lepsona, Miss Lebda Hakora, Jambairo, Shevra, Shishi near Parmesana, or Lepson Sayuk and the Madura, Namsa or Subsoche Tika, teach Lepse, Gula, Jambata Shishi, Payo to the vacation with Sardo.
Next is the right concentration. Concentration is to place the mind on the intended object, intended virtuous object. This is concentration. And the wrong concentration is also there. Say, for example, say you had a very bad relationship with somebody else, or say you have some conflict with somebody else, and then your mind, you just deliberately place your mind on those conflicts, on those points of disagreement and so forth. You just let your mind hover around the disputes, the objects of disputes. So this is a wrong concentration. Whereas the right concentration is say placing your mind on the particular object which gives rise to benefit to you. For example, say with the meditation again, the meditation has to be cultivated on the basis of the introspection, mindfulness, and then the conscientiousness. So there, for example, the espionage, for example, a spy should have a tremendous degree of the introspection, mindfulness, and the conscientiousness. So there, the introspection will just keep an eye on your enemies, whether or not your enemies are around you, and the moment with the introspection you sense the presence of the movement of the enemies around you, then with the mindfulness you make sure that you are on a safe place. So with this, then you don't just ignore the information that you get of the enemies, but you become very conscious of there's conscientiousness there within you to make sure that nothing really bad happens to you. So this is how these three things work together to bring a very healthy meditation.
No, that don't 수수수수 삼을 당하지 수수를 팬도 여바다 샹 팬도 여베 저를 삼을 당게 돈은 대 삼을 당 temba 시신 바에 준비체 단 내가 얘기를 단다 내가 된데 삼을 거서나 샘도 좀 넣어도 수수 샘이야 수수배 어디 거야 되래서 삼다 어디 먹어야 되냐고 미기버 송게 신 내가 육셔상 육셔 거야 돼도 삼륜 죽도 마시나서 주중고 삼다 대담해서 남균에 돈아 제베나 안 삼로 땅 먹고 육셔도 다고서들 삼다서 김만은 강에를 주네 동해를 주는 대셔지 삼다 대셔지 삼다 아주 소소 메게 콘도셔스 부수도 차려도 자고 먹어야 돼 차차차를 육셔 삼륜 죽도 마시나서 나라도 나시 이 집에 드세요 말해서 따와르시고 도대시 삼다되어도 어디도 가서래 삼도 단도 단로 쉐도 게제 쉐도 간데 쉐오래 메시게도 간데 쉐오래세 디셰도도 데도 어디 디송션.
Yes. So in essence what is being taught here is how to set your mind properly, how to let your mind think properly, where the great masters, what they said is that if you don't let your mind to think correctly, approach things correctly, you will never ever have the experience of happiness. You will never experience happiness if you don't know how to think properly. So anything not building the art or the skillfulness or the skill of thinking properly, then oftentimes what we tend to do is we always think about the negative side. We always think about the negative side, and because of which we are constantly being agitated. So anything that you see the negative side of that, and then the consequence is that we are always unhappy. So somebody who does not know how to think properly will never have the opportunity to experience happiness. So the point is that those things, the moment you think about and the agitation, unnecessary agitation, irritation arises, just ignore these things. Whereas those things you think more, your happiness comes to you, your mind becomes more calm. These are the areas that we need to think of. These are referred to as the wise people, wise reflections. And the unwise reflections, unwise thinking, just thinking about contemplating, thinking, ruminating over the unnecessary and the particularly which provokes irritation, agitation within you. This is a very unwise way of thinking, will only give rise to pains and agitation, will never give rise to happiness.
Kambajanga to Tinchimbudes, Kambajam as Tessa the Tazun, Shingatam with the Tinchimburanga to Kalasaya the Tazukanga you could. Mikanga Lagache, the Chil Koyaji, Chiso Chil Koyaji, Lagache Yora, Pangi Ordo, or Tin Dungarazo, Kolega Richene, Michil Koyaji, Chiso Panto, Chicho, Magaji Lagache, or Tin the Til Hasan Namdage. Lagabe put up with numbers of some tagbe corner or for the panto, the Mitchell panto, sometimes a chairman, the cook or into Yorba. The social message can not call a lega carriage, Tisuba, Kawan Juregi, Guru Samatan, Tisha. Shenda Pashana, Jamie Tobutan, solely choose a lega, Kalaya Madras, say a touch within the Sumba Yora, or Tezuka, because something the Tango, and I do the Ditch when I run the Ditch was here, no person them to pass to Nichis and Kesha, Anisit, Pearl Kesha Yada, or come big convention de Simen Songe, Belasa Somada, or the Songe, Tongue is Chidoa. Tama Pesitanga Mambu Nazutan of Tidua. Then I call the color should I take me to a Kala matters, Jobuchi, and the Memabulag Mabuche, so very soon to Jamabushi. Then answer the lineage and two lips on Kishishi, Koni Chambuya, Tinga Kokarichi to a stream bar, Karchesum, or Kote Jamid Legaches and Drossonse. You can imagine 2 songs. Imagine 2 Cope Lega, which is a Jamikadachi, so pay me at 2 chairs. So the Cope Lega would have a chisa. And Tachiran some tended on Legache or Legamaja de Chumare. In a Mikanga Shig do Akira Kosa, Chichi Tonsa, Deji do Akala, the Tiabote Medoise, Tiahako Vesa, Sigisa. Sagitacious are race, collecting with the Legan back with the Timashi going to toss the Zirga, Legacy and cement the Mitchell Pando or Ross Combustion, or they are would have some Nakalaki Mado, Jamaica had to give my race. Coaches sketches and Medusa, can you say to the Sigure that the Mashi going to collect of the Tigre Mado, Nashindaka Coaches and Medusa. Sima continue to Nashi John Segdo, or Tinashi, Shanda Namdu in the Kawajora. Tindeka legs in a condom had the Yonas Yomara, in a miss some time in a tear Kokawan Jurkudua. Some shoots in Botanic and Jusin Betawar Sira attended Jurkudua. Tin the Kunamdu Laka Sigina, Tico Suda, the Chizo Panto Yora, Sinakoti. Tintin Cameras in Sudukanga, Tinchin Brace, and Katukan and Chizos in Yamdo's Chivil, Robert had Sudositera. So Sudanja Chilishinas and Tibushashan, Nimakashi Soto Mardo, or Tindu sometime, Lega Carina, Geshe Yeshe. So the same name were sometimes. Some of the Avustan and the Kanakashi, the Chevatil Conjuan. So Tito and the Kidi Lake and Goto. Same department to have the same director. In the same like Chamba, so I let him get here, like a Lasan number seen in the pencil Chamba, because some day so dress on the cook on the Conda pay Yorto, with the monk of the Shaman.
For example, they say again the advice pertaining to the Eightfold Noble Path, that the same if we are somebody who's an employee, we work for somebody and we earn a salary. So of course we have to earn something. We have to survive with the help of what we earn. And some people may think that okay, the work that I do for my living cannot be virtuous because it's for myself. And this is actually not true. Even the work that you do for somebody in exchange for your salary, even that can be incredibly great virtue, the virtuous. Because we talk about they pertain to the practice of the compassion. There is a practice of compassion, and more precisely, the practice of bodhicitta. There is one step, the step or the method, which is referred to as the special recollection of the kindness of others. A special recollection of the kindness of others. When we talk about that, we see that we reap the benefit of the innumerable beings. For example, we live in a house. House was constructed by so many people, and we survive on food, and the food was grown by so many farmers. So we see that even our survival is heavily dependent on the hands of so many people. So if we reflect on the benefits that we get from these beings, we see how kind they are. This is known as the special recollection of the kindness of others. So likewise, when we do something, even though you are doing this with in exchange for your salary, but what you're doing is eventually is going to be of some benefit to somebody. So which means being with this reflection that okay, what I'm doing is going to be of some benefit to somebody, that itself becomes a virtue. So it can become so. How, whether or not the action that you engage in is going to be virtuous or non-virtuous is entirely dependent on your thought process, your thinking. So for example, say the venerable teacher, he could remember one of his classmates known as the venerable monk, army, and he was actually captured by the Chinese. That was back in 1959, around that time, and he was one of his very close friends with whom he had exchange of the knowledge and discussions and so forth on the philosophy. So he was many of the great scholars were arrested by the communist Chinese. They were put to labor camps, and then they were deprived of adequate food, and instead they were being put under the forced to work, labor work, so hard. And then after the several years, another friend of our teacher, he happened to come to India, and then our teacher was so curious to know about his friend Venerable the Ami, and asked him about the situation. So the person who came to India told the Venerable teacher that the Venerable Ami is in a Chinese labor camp, and that in a factory, the cement factory, which is not at all healthy, number one. Number two, they were being deprived of the food, so less the scarce food, and but this Venerable Ami was seen working so tirelessly and so sincerely, working so hard, and to the extent that the Chinese, the communist Chinese, the officials, they were so happy about him. And so when the person who came to India, he met a Venerable Ami there, and told him that, you know that so many people are dying now in your prison camp. So many people were dying because of lack of food and being forced to work so hard. And do you know that they are dying, like the many dying? And the Venerable Ami said that, yes, I know that. So be careful. You don't have to really work so hard for the Chinese, common Chinese. So eventually they're going to kill you. So he said that, I know that already. The whole purpose for them to keeping us here is eventually to kill us. But the work that I'm doing, I'm not really doing for the Chinese. I'm doing for whoever is going to be benefited out of this work. So I'll do very seriously, and I'll do it wholeheartedly, and then somebody is going to be benefited out of my hard work. Somebody is benefited. So with this, the other person did not have anything else to say. So what is the message here is that no matter what the work is, whether even if you are doing this in exchange for salary, but still that work has a tremendous capacity to benefit somebody there. So with this thinking that somebody is going to be benefited, your work, even if you are doing this for your livelihood, it becomes a virtuous actions, virtuous karma. So it can become a bodhisattva's practice. So this is what is meant by the special collection of kindness of others. And then finally, what we do, and verbally what we utter, whether they're going to be virtuous, non-virtuous, all are determined by your thinking. If your thinking is very positive and thinking of, okay, so whatever I do is going to be of some benefit for somebody else, this will guarantee that your physical, verbal actions are going to be positive karmas. So this is how we need to ground all our thought processes on love and the compassion and love and kindness. So the passage which we are reading, third passage on page 8. What is the Dharma? Dharma is the eightfold path of the noble ones: right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. This eightfold path of the noble ones, combined with the attainment of its results and nirvana, is what the Bhagavan has called the Dharma. So here, what the Dharma, seeing whoever sees the dependent origination will see the Dharma, and then whoever sees the Dharma will reap the benefit. Will reap two kinds of benefit. One is the transcendental benefit, and the other is the inferior benefit. Transcendental and the ordinary, the inferior benefit. Inferior benefit means common benefit. Common benefit and the transcendental benefit. Common benefit is that with the practice of the Eightfold Noble Paths, one will achieve nirvana, personal liberation, nirvana. So that is a common benefit. And the transcendental benefit, uncommon or the transcendental benefit is, as the Buddha indicated, that whoever sees the Dharma will see the Buddha, meaning that one will achieve Buddhahood, one will achieve the state of Buddhahood. So that state of Buddhahood is referred to as the transcendental and the attainment. So this, through this practice of the Eightfold Noble Paths, one is able to eventually one is able to acquire attain all the positive qualities, and one is able to get rid of all the mental defilements. That the state of the perfection and the state of the total elimination of the mental defilements or demerits. So that is the state of Buddhahood, the transcendental, the results.
Showdown some so to the one all the calculation. Don't deny the tell attention, they were John conscience as in them. The Chitarians attention, they were John the country, so they shave a chago, rest the shave. Tell attention, they were John. And then Tonga Chita Bushana said, that in the margin, make Kajins but the castle. Oh, she some so said, Maba. Geshe attention never join said, Dibato. No. Attention never join shoulders Kangata, Tambar Maduba, Tambar Maba, Tambar Maduba. In attention never join some do, Shashi Nova, Tambani Manda Kone. Taxi Shashi to the devil attend the collega, Shashi to die in a to do new at the dish hour. In a round to a man, Taxi Shashi to do Chawachi, Tag Chawachavan Shagu. That number Maruja. Tension never join some to coach as you saw in the map of my imba or teach you shape for the Sungudo, the Manila Mandalacona. Don't them by Janja Kona, Chebeton, Talaton, Kage Mebes from the Chandordo, near Chemi to Kangaton. Oh, they Kage Mebes of the Sunday, Tension never join out, the one you to me, Chawachi, Rango, Kanga, Debuji Chawachi, or Tisam Tangudo. So Tension never join some to Chachi from there. Around it to buy Manga, Tongbata, Tendiniga Samutang would say. Get on any Chebe Talamato, Casa Tagwe Talamato, I say, Taxi tiny that 80 come to rest the shape.
So then it talks about, the next line talks about who is the Bhagavan Buddha. A Buddha, so-called because of comprehending all Dharma, is endowed with the wisdom eye of the noble ones and the body of Dharma, and thus perceives the Dharma of those still in the training, those beyond training. How does one see dependent arising? On this point, the Bhagavan has said, one who sees dependent arising as constant without life force, devoid of life force. True. So this is all talking about how there is things come into existence only by dependence on other factors. Nothing really independent exists. Then the next paragraph reads, why is it called dependent arising? It is called dependent arising because it is causal and the conditional, not non-causal and non-conditional. Okay, in this regard, as we discussed earlier, understanding dependent origination will help us to get rid of the misconception of seeing things as permanent, and will also help us to get rid of the misconception of things to be independent and real. And instead we see that there's nothing really independently there. comes to being by dependence on the parts, by dependence on the constituencies there. And yet it is not that things don't exist. Things do exist, but nothing really from the independently of its own, by the in and of itself. So in short, nothing really exists as an independent entity. So the independence is rejected. Meanwhile, one should be able to posit the functionality of the things. So the tendency is that when we reflect on the emptiness of independent existence, some people tend to deny, some people tend to defy the concept of the two truths. So while we reject any degree of independence, we should not be doing that. We should not be doing that by defying the two truths. Instead, we should reject the independence within the context of accepting the two truths. So the point is that there's emptiness side, and that there's the dependent origination side. So by seeing the emptiness, you should be able to reject the independence. By seeing the dependent origination, you should be able to posit the functionality. So with these two things, we're able to reject two extremes. Only then we can have this healthy understanding of dependent origination.
Meba Juda Kenda Cheval Chaysa, Dinama Karishegosana, Teji Devil John Cheney Sum, the Cheney Nasa Shesma, Dina Juda Cheval Joy Cheney Seti Shegdo. Gumi Campbell came about 10 Kigmarese, Juda Cheval 10 Kigres, Dizako, Juda Ten Cabasonda, Medavada, Dunga, Damebala Sobo, Tezongo Negrese, Tate, Mokorang Chinese. Rangshiri Tip Togres, Sanje Chum de Jiden come to China, Saba de Social Tendeke Maris, Jiden come to China, Sanje of China Major, Chinam de Chini, Tension Devil Joy Tude, they don't never conares this on Gudwa.
The same paragraph, page 9, the second paragraph, which reads, why is it called dependent arising? It is called dependent arising because it is causal and conditional, not non-causal and non-conditional. Here, out of the 5 characteristics of dependent origination indicated in this text, it is mentioning the need for the cause. In other words, that the dependent, that the composite phenomena, they need to have the causes as the factor for their arising. So with this understanding, it will lead to the understanding of impermanence, suffering nature, and the selfless nature, so forth. And these realities, the reality of how things they exist simply through dependent origination, dependent arising, or dependent origination, and because of which realization of the impermanent, suffering, selflessness, and so forth, this is not something what the Buddha dictated. These are the things which pre-existed. We existed pre-Buddha, meaning that Buddha simply discovered these realities. It's not that these are what the Buddha dictated or what the Buddha invented.
Ni Kashina, did the Juda Kenda Cheval Chaya said, Dinama, Midawa to make young attention at the Shegdoa. Junior said, Juda Chess, the Nian Kora Red, Kipsco, among Jurong. Kenda dress, dance to tell ya, Sabin the Nian said, tell ya, should not lose down, trade and shell over Tezo, change she can Nico Yarba. The hotel is a call Midaba to man. To him, to my ball trouble ten cable essay, Medaba to make a show at the Shegdoa. The Nisuta, the Chiru detention driver, couldn't order, did the Samuel and Yugustinian lady Shegdoa, Nugulan Damasa Tishera. Get that driver, I didn't know what the ma Yugdoa. We teach you from Shana. Teaching the driver in one Baduba Jurosa. Tell us Samuel, Otiba the Chisonshana. The Bekan Lechon said, the
Okay, so the
Ching over the Sinaco, Sa Chu, Me, Long, Joatazula, Tursin, Denico, Gego de City Shagdo, and Narazo Nagi Kansa in Ayako, Nagi Sachu Melo, Tabu Chalo, Lulia Chart as a Chu Chayodo, Dread Shed the Tesolitane, to Giordo. And the Chi Sachu, Me, Long, Tazula, Turni, Tubude Sogoda, Tiki Chimbuche Sogoda, the Narazo Samdan Narazo, Socia took the Rangarang, somebody carries some good matter city, she was a Tursin, tell you, case some good meadow. The Monechana, Trade the Chetana, De Marno. Lu Japisa Amjul, Sobokoya should the mother redo the meter. Don't do that. Child on the child on the child of the Sobo Chawajagdo, cousin to watch a little child. No one is chewing his turn, so we Chawajak to see her serious now, not just as one. So go child on the child of the city or Mara. And the Utaya Kora, Tomba Kuyora, Namke comes to the Tongsan de Kuyordo, and the Satin Sa Kuyordo. There's a Kangal Thursday, there's somebody there, a Kalasagis or a Chatongi Sergi, Shimbundu Shimbu, the Sarge or Mother, Mera is my Shidura, 20 minutes Shidura. There's a Kangal Thursday, and so somebody there you are. In a Gazo, this some look at Medua, the Chitungus of Kalasa, Chinyam, the Chesavi, Church Mother Medua, Tia Kotim, Mambusongua. She is such a melon, Juma, the Zolitan, and the Chalores. Nagi Kaza, the Nagi Juma, such a melon, number Tongsan. Tongsan, the man of Utangura, Nalo, the Tongsan Kuyorto. And it's Tamu the Chuda, the Kanga Kudo. The Chiri in the Nine, the Juma, such a melon, Namkatonsa. There's okay, Chawa Chese. Don't do it now, coming with a tree, Koyara, Chue, Koyara, Kanga Kogora, Tadas Korva, Teletan, Koram, Ramada, Koram, and a two time Mara. Naraza did one Burasiaki, the Pemmedo, the Chituya, Korania, Tayang Soras Muda. Could be Judah gets on the army of Lubur to Johnson Gatella. Lubur to Jin Sansuna Korea to Gato, or the Shidan Nambu Samangarazo and Gina Medava Residi, Teso Kangala Turch, Tatin Santi Chishedo, Sedo, Chilo de Chisajumelo, Garsato Yabuko, Namshin Yambachen, Chidio Masido, I didn't want the general Yaman Sedo, Sajumelo, John to Kagates, Turch and Deades, Pukanam Bandre, long letter, say, what did this one go? I think I'm assembly, also they said the cash and be a Sajumelo Kanga cash and Ben Juan to the cash and Bimba, Jangma to the cash and Bemko, some Kongoda, somebody there, Chagan Resha Sasa, Nikatoyan score, I'm just Sayas score, Toyan score, Tezuya, which a man so to Mara. What in the contention, the average one, the Yasam Tambina. I mean, Michizo Regina, Cochichil, Dante, or Tagansa Nashira, Chigaji Rock, sitting with a saturated one, Kampachi, or Tondo Tabu, or a test over Cococan Shachir and Mugochi Omar. Some Lutansh and a Chizo Honatpa, Chichil and Trade and Garage, Chichil at the Congress. Nichi joined the Congratulate, or the was some Cotona. And then Mita was said, Kashe Shanaku was Sunday. Dumia, the Kashe Chigelia, among them, Geshe the tomatoes, Shashed your mother, Yabush, Yawas the share of Mars, and I didn't never share it, turn to share it, turn to the Vasser. Then Roman also said, I'm a cigar, you are, and you have your share, and turn to do it, and it made sing a miserable Kashi Tank, Karigo Gazedo, Medratanka Kazedo, do it, you are. Today, you are a cigarette to many. The teledrama to the Gazician, social laboration, does it all makes it Tangi Yomara, Suji Kasara, Nambina Yora, Kasa, Joshan Daga Ram, Tiba Maris, social lada, Namuangi, Tiumorto. Social Lavayora, near on the drum, as Miguel to the Bank, to the two, Toma Sasha, Tibor Shagum Jenna, Nason Drag Yomara, Ladan Midra Tachasara, Social Lavayora, Shanako Chamara, or the thing that Tunda, Namgina, Medavas, and the game left us one, some of the Nami Nako, Teziranga, which is much covered over the Sigurdo. Oh, Tinder, then the Kanga Chichilla Tursin, then Messi Yavusi Gay Lagudua, some Tonda Lagudua. Some of the Tango is teaching the social terror, the Meteor said, this matter came out of this is also.
So we are running late. So the summary that is given to us is that the external world or the internal world of sentience. External world, we see that it is made of the 5 elements: element of earth, water, fire, air, and space. And nothing really exists there as external world independently. They should necessarily come into being by dependence on these 5 elements. Likewise, the internal world of sentience, like ourselves, we're also made of the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, and space. For example, say while this is reality, when we think of ourselves, we see ourselves as so independently real. And when we say, for example, like taking tea or eating food, we say that, oh, we are going for a lunch, we are going for a lunch party, the party or whatever. In actuality, this is just for survival, because if we don't eat, then we cannot really survive. But we think that as well, like there's some very independent person there, and these are all like luxuries. In actuality, these are not luxuries. These are things without which we cannot really survive, because we are dependent originated by dependence on the 5 elements. Element of earth, for example, a body. Element of water, for example, like the blood which is being flowing within the body. Say if there's the end of the fire, the heat. If there's excess heat, again we cannot survive. Because people die of heat stroke. And then if the heat is not there, again people cannot survive. Because, for example, in America, there's the constant announcement made through the television, state television, saying that okay, today you should not be going out for too long, because the fluid that you have in your body, they will freeze. So which means that you'll die. So we see that we are so fragile. We are just so fragile because that we are not independently there. We just exist by dependence on the 5 elements. The moment these 5 elements they go imbalance, then we cannot survive. So this is reality. So with this, the message and the teaching that we are getting from here, taught by the Buddha, is the teaching on dependent origination. How things come into being by dependence. For example, say for the external world. Today, nowadays, we frequently talk about the global warming. So how, say, everything is connected, that we should be taking care of the carbon emissions, so forth. So this is all the message, the teaching of the Buddha, as to how that nothing's really there independently. Things are all interconnected. Things exist by only dependence on each other. And likewise, it also teaches us how to lead a very harmonious family life within a family, within a community, how we should live harmoniously. So what we discussed earlier of the impermanence, knowing that we are all impermanent. I'm going to die, and people, my family members, they're also going to die. If you know this, if you know the reality of the impermanence, then inevitably one will feel the value of being together. So instead of fighting, instead of unnecessarily creating problems on our family members, we will feel the value of being together. So how long are we going to be together? So this time is so precious. The moment the impermanence hits us or strikes us, then this moment will no more be existent. So we will no more experience this moment. So this moment is so precious. So while we are being together, why not we live happily? Why not we help each other? So this is an incredible great factor. This learning, this experience of the impermanence is so precious for us to lead a very harmoniously within a community. So even with the external world, we talk about, we see the need of the importance to see the importance of the need to see the importance of the vegetation and so forth. And so in the West, usually people say that in the West, better don't talk too much about impermanence, don't talk too much about suffering. So our teacher says that he does teach on impermanence and suffering, because it's not saying that this is reality of impermanence, this is reality of suffering, and then somebody is going to force you into suffering. This is not the connotation. The reality is reality. The thing is that whether you go into this direction or go towards happiness, that is in your hand. So if you know what the suffering is, then you will learn how not to drive yourself in suffering, how to evade from suffering by engaging in the virtues. So by, for example, say in Pramanavartika, the text by Acharya Dharmakirti, there he very clearly indicated that the samsara, the miseries, there's nobody who is forcing you to drive into the suffering, the state of the suffering of the lower realms. It's only your own act of the non-virtuous actions that will drive you into the suffering state. So if you, by knowing that this is the reality of suffering and these are the causes of suffering, and then have a sense of conscientiousness to embrace only the virtues, 10 virtues, refrain from 10 non-virtuous actions, nobody can force you into the lower realms or the suffering state. You will unwittingly or inevitably or invariably you will take birth in the higher states. So this is the benefits. So in this, so in short, all this teaching on impermanence, dependent origin, so forth, it is to let us the experience, to let us know how to lead a very harmonious life, and to be beneficial for yourself and for others. So in other words, how to lead a happy life. This is the final message for us from this teaching on the dependent origination. Okay. So we will, what we do is that we will do the end dedication prayer, and then after this, as I said earlier, everybody will be presented with the. Okay, on behalf of all of us here, we have Tenzin Shudula, the Secretary of Tibet House, will make the thank you offering to our teacher, Venerable Yeshe Thabkhe Rinpoche, and all of us, we will have the opportunity to receive his blessings later on. And okay, so let us as for the dedication. As for the dedication, we have Tenzin Hadrul there, who's going to do you want to do it? Okay. So the 2-day teaching, and extremely precious teaching, how to really lead a very meaningful life, and to understand the concept of the essence, the message of the teaching contained in the essence of dependent origin mantra, Ye Dharma mantra. So very clearly elucidated by our venerable teacher, Geshe Yeshe Thabkhe Rinpoche. We are so fortunate, and let us all pray that His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the true source of joy and happiness on this earth, that His Holiness His Holiness lives a very long life, very healthy long life, and that his wishes be fulfilled spontaneously. And let us also dedicate that our teacher, Venerable Geshe Yeshe Thabkhe Rinpoche, they live long for us, and they continue to turn the wheel of Dharma for us and for all the dear sentient beings, to shed the light of the wisdom, the light of compassion for all the beings. And let us also dedicate the merits gathered, that all these great learning centers, such as Gandhin, Sera, Depung, and Gyudu Gyume, the monastic institutions, and the great learning centers of Sakya, Kagyu, Nyingma, Gelug, and all the traditions. And let us also dedicate the merits that thus gathered, that this message of dependent origination, the emptiness and compassion, through our own concerted effort, we be able to serve as a beacon of the teaching on the wisdom of emptiness and compassion for all the sentient beings. And may this light of the bodhicitta, the light of the bodhicitta, which cherishes others more than oneself, the aspiration to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, may this light of the emptiness, the wisdom of emptiness, and on the basis of understanding of interdependence one from others, may these two lights flourish in the minds of all sentient beings, so that the darkness of self-grasping ignorance and the self-centered attitude are eradicated, and they experience the boundless happiness eternally. May the teaching on bodhicitta wisdom of emptiness flourish and thrive in all 10 directions in the minds of all sentient beings. Okay, with that in mind, let us recite the dedication prayer.
Please turn to page number 28. Additional dedication prayers. In the land encircled by snow mountains, you are the source of all happiness and good. All-powerful Chandisik Tenzin Gyatso, please remain until samsara ends. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantha Badar too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best by all the Buddhas who appear in the 3 times, so that I may perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. Chanju Sencho Rinpoche Mage Panage Gyuche Kewanya Pame Paya Kone Kondu Pevarsho. May the supreme bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and may that which has arisen not diminish but increase forevermore. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all beings without exceptions into that enlightened state. I dedicate the merit thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and the prayers of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 3 times, and to the upholding of the Dharma of teachings and realization. May I in all life, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of my inner vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfect view, and the 2 stages. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge to the triple gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. By the power of the practicing and supplicating to you, may all be free from sickness, poverty, and conflicts, and may Dharma and auspiciousness proliferate in all the places where we abide. The path of a union of emptiness and compassion is lucidly explained by the protector of both the Dharma and the beings of the snowlands. You are the lotus holder, Tenzin Gyatso. We supplicate you that your wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. May the operations of evil thoughts and deeds of the negative forces of humans and non-humans who harbor malice through perverted prayers against the teachings of the Buddhas be totally vanquished through the power of the truth of the 3 jewels. In all my lives, never separated from perfect gurus, may I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stages in the paths. May I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. Throughout my future lifetimes, may I always be guided by Arya Manjushri and be able to uphold the Dharma in general and teachings on dependent origination in particular, even at the cost of my life. Thank you.
Okay, so the people will quickly come in queue to receive the blessings.
मैं आ सकती हूँ?
Sorry.
I asked him if I can come to Sarnath and talk to him.
Yeah. Now, Gena Jamati, Mo Gena Gulichachwachis. Now, they Ajala never to do.
Thank you.
Last time blessings मिले Geshe and I.
He's very thankful to be so happy about your contribution to the center. He is praying for you. You can marriage, just continue, rejoice.
Central University Ranchi.
PhD transfer. Angela. Ven.Geshe Thabkhe. Okay.
Yeah. Just today. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's the oh yeah, she got it. Oh yeah. That's it. That is it. Oh yeah. That's it. Oh
You finish it, you see?
No, 2 more years.
Yes, 2 years.
So come. Oh, yeah. What do you got? Tanda kawaja.
Tanda the percentage.
Oh, you money.
No, really.
Tanda looks at you.
No, really.
What do you got?
No pay over here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm saying.
Oh, really? Oh, good. Ramsala Sena. Kupalena. Oh, Kupalena. Oh, yeah, that is.
Sorry. Rings in
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that is.
네, 쓰는다. 쓰는다. 베이스라다 무슨 내신 또 해서.
아,
나 그래서 아주 내집 같이지.
아니, that is.
No. No.
Oh, yeah. 아,
그 내집 안에
oh, yeah.
도저히 없으죠.
Oh, 내가 동생이 내가 전전변인데. 아, 베이스라. 공부해.
그 베이스랑 중에다 단다 나란데 없이 기기 소도 하나.
지르래. 어디가 돼?
계산이 이제 주기에서 관계 사다리 양 쉬우지 기기. 아니 소리 어디래.
어, 야, 야.
그래서 관계 사다리가 그냥 밍치나 오는데.
나 공부를 그냥
그래서 관계 사다리.
시간만 쓰시면 시간만 और आपके काम पढ़ाई बहुत अच्छा
बहुत करना है पढ़ाई
बहुत अच्छा खूब भाग्यवान
그건 리지버래.
어디가 어디 사바지
말이다. 로하지 도사리.
로카시아
정말 조심하라.
아야
대주도 무슨 중지들. 중지들 계산하는 거.
아야
저 tempada mas yu dire ti tanda ti parki gensa kura kiwa devi kende samalo
어디가
teju mala mas yu derim jingyong gensa
어디가
derim gensa
내가 영처럼
도전 하나 줘
어떤 데서
이 게나 모랑기 사다도 무슨 저르시 손
아야야
मेरी बेटी
That is one. Here, va. Na cieszę, depois vai.
제나 비트 컨디션
Вот, так.
어떻게 해서 제일 남편은 하나 뭐 All come. No.
Okay, thank you.
It's your synopsis, you said? You have to.
It's in first week only.
I see. I plan to, but maybe next year I'll look at that. Shangla.